You may think that although the sun and moon are far away from the earth, they don't have much of an impact on shipping, but they do have a significant impact on our seas and therefore on the maritime industry. Tides refer to the daily rise and fall of sea levels and are caused by the gravitational forces of the moon and sun and by the rotation of the earth. This gravitational pull raises the water level on one side of the earth, which causes a higher tide. Now, because of the rotation of the earth, centrifugal forces cause the water level to rise on the opposite side of the earth at the same time. The rotation of the earth also causes the high tide to move from east to west. High tide, which is when the water level is higher, occurs every 12 hours and 25 minutes. And low tide, which is when the water level is lower, follows 6 hours and 13 minutes after each high tide. Sometimes high tide is referred to as the tides coming in, or the flood tide, and low tide is referred to as the tides going out, or ebb tide. And this is perhaps because changes in the level of the ocean are most noticeable along the coast, with high tide reaching a higher point on the beach, while the water level at low tide will be further down the beach. There are occasions when the gravitational pull of the moon and the sun work together to form a much higher tide. This combined gravitational pull of the sun and moon is at new moon and at full moon, and is called a spring tide. At new moon, the sun and moon are in a parallel position. This combined gravitational pull causes a higher high tide called the spring high tide. The areas from which the water is drawn now experience a lower than normal low tide, and this is referred to as the spring low tide. At full moon, the moon and the sun are effectively on opposite sides of the earth, raising the level of the ocean on opposite sides of the planet. This creates a higher high tide, called the spring high tide, while the areas where the water is drawn from will experience a spring low tide. Neap tides occur when the moon is at first quarter or at last quarter. Its gravitational pull is at right angles to that of the sun. This effect on the ocean's tides is not as extreme as at spring tide. People who make a living from the oceans, whether that living is through shipping or fishing or through various marine industries and ecosystems, will always keep a close eye on the tides because they impact the shipping industry in a number of ways. In some harbors, for instance, the water depth must be able to accommodate the draft of laden ships. This means that these ships can only enter or leave the harbor a few hours before or after high tide, and they'll have to schedule their arrival or departure to make sure that they move only when the water depth is sufficient to accommodate them. Otherwise, of course, they may touch the bottom of the harbor. Ships' mooring lines tighten as the tide rises and slacken as the tide goes out. This means that ships' crews will have to adjust the mooring lines, although in more modern ships, the mooring lines are adjusted automatically. We've tried to explain the intricate relationship between the Earth, the moon, the sun, and the tides, and how the gravitational pull of these celestial bodies creates the tides that have a significant impact on shipping.